This lesson is going to be a review of the last two lessons. Previously, we talked about special right triangles, and there were two types. The first type was the 45, 45, 90 degree triangle. So this triangle here on the left, these two angles are the same size. They are both 45 degrees. And then the one in the corner marked with the red mark is 90. You see the 45 opens up and makes this side. This 45 opens up and makes that side. But if they're the same angle, they're going to make the same size sides. And we call those the short sides of this triangle. They're both the same, so they're both called short sides. Now the one across from the right angle, that's the most important side. The longest side is called the hypotenuse. So we have short side, so two short sides. Short side, and the hypotenuse side. The ratios for these, remember, go x, 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 square root 2. And then the last column is where we put our answers if this was a problem. On the other triangle, you see how this one's shaped differently. We have a small angle here, a bigger angle here. So the smaller one is the 30, the bigger one is a 60, and the red one again is the 90. And then we match up sides. Across from the 30, smallest angle, smallest side, so the short side. Across from the 90, biggest angle, biggest side, again that's called the hypotenuse. And by that logic, the 60 is the middle angle, so that's going to have the medium sized side. So this time they're all different sizes. So the way we can fill that out, we have a short side, a medium side, and a hypotenuse side. But in this case, the ratios are different than the 45, 45, 90. These ones go x, x square root 3, and 2x. Okay? So today we're going to be given an example of a triangle. We need to figure out which of these ratio tables to use, and then go ahead and go from there. So, first example. Let's say we're given a triangle that looks like this. Now we can't base it off of the way it looks, we got to go off the numbers that we're given. Alright, so up here in this corner, they're going to give us a 45, and then they're going to tell us that this side is 2, and this side is 2. Now just based off of that information, even if they didn't give us this 45, so let's go ahead and erase that, and I erased too much. If they didn't give us this 45, let's look at the sides they give us. A 2 and a 2. They're both the same size. So if they're the same size, this angle and this angle should be the same. So that would tell me that they need to be evenly split. So this one would be a 45, and this one wouldn't be a 45. So if we see the same size sides, this is a 45, 45, 90. And it's a 45, 45, 90, so we need to create that table. And a 45, 45 goes small, small hypotenuse, x, x, x square root 2. Now this one's a little bit different than the other ones we've done. It actually gives us two sides. So let's figure out what's what. This 2 over here is across from a 45, so this is a short side. This 2 is across from a 45, so that's a short side. So we actually have both short sides. So 2 here, 2 here, and they're wanting us to find out what this side is. And that side, the only thing we have left is the hypotenuse. So we're trying to find out the hypotenuse. Okay? Now the great thing is, this right here, if we put an equal sign there, is telling us what x is. X is 2. The next one, x is 2. So in the last one, I can take 2 instead of x, plug it in, and my final answer is going to be 2 square root 2. And you can go ahead and leave it like that. There's your answer. Let's try another. So a little bit bigger triangle this time. Right angle, they're going to mark this one up here with a 30. They're going to give us this side is 12, and this side is the one they're trying to get us to find. Now they're not asking us to find everything. They just want us to find one side, but we're going to complete the table like we are trying to find everything. So I know I need to set up a table. Now I got to figure out what information to put in here. So let's see. I have a 90, I have a 30, and then just following the pattern, the only thing that can be left has to be a 60. You can use your 180 rule. So a 30, 60, 90. So I can look back to the beginning of these notes. The 30, 60, 90 is a small, medium hypotenuse setup. And for a 30, 60, 90 gets x square root 3, and 2x. This time we're only given one side, and it's the 12. And it's across from the 60. So across from the 60, that means it's the medium side. So the 12 is going to go in this row here. 12. Now, if we really look at it, they're asking us to find this side, which is the hypotenuse. Okay? In order to do that, I actually need to find out what the small side is first. So let's go ahead and set this up. Put an equal sign here. And go ahead and take that out of the table. X times square root 3 equals 12. Let's find out what x is. So we'll take both sides and divide it by square root 3. So x equals 12 over square root 3. Now today, we're not going to make it a decimal. We're just going to leave it like this. X is by itself. That's the x value. And there's a box up here that asks me what x is. So I'm going to go ahead and put 12 over square root 3. The last one, this is saying take x and multiply it by 2. So I know what x is. This one's x up here. So I'm going to take that value and multiply it by 2. So 12 over square root 3, and let's multiply it by 2. You can put 2 over 1 to make them both fractions. So multiply across the top, you get 24, and on the bottom you get square root 3. And again, we're not going to make decimals. Let's just leave it like that. 24 over square root 3 is my hypotenuse side, and that's the one they were asking us to find right there. All right. Another triangle. This time they give us a 4 right here. Question mark, question mark. All right. So looking at it, again, they don't give us any numbers, but we're going to assume that these two sides are the same size. And if they're the same size, these angles are the same, meaning that these are 45s. So we're creating a 45, 45, 90 table. So that goes small side, hypotenuse side. And the ratio is down the middle, x square root 2. So the only side we're given right now is the 4. Of the choices, it's across from the 90, meaning that this is the hypotenuse. So that 4, whatever we're given, never gets changed. That's going to go directly into my table, the hypotenuse row here, 4. So let's set it up. We need to find out what these two are up here. We need to find out what these two are. So we're going to set this up. X square root 2 equals 4. And we've seen this before. Divide both sides by square root 2. That doesn't divide very nicely, so just leave it 4 over square root 2. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your answer for x. But the great thing is, both short sides are the same size. So there you go, your two answers. 4 over square root 2 for both of those. One last example. So you're starting to see the different shapes between these triangles. Okay. So this time I have a 90, I have a 60, so the other one has to be a 30. Has to be. So we have a 30, 60, 90 triangle this time. So that's a short side, a medium side, and the hypotenuse side. Down the middle are the ratios, x square root 3, and 2x. Okay. This is the only info we're given, and we want to find the other two sides. Let's find out. So that side right there, it's across from the 90. Look at that, it's the hypotenuse. So that value is going to get put down here in the hypotenuse row, 8 square root 3. And again, whatever we're given, go ahead and make that an equation, set it up, and find out what x is. So we need to get rid of that 2. Divide both sides by 2. 2's cancel. 8 divided by 2, 4 square root 3. So that's what x is. The x box is the top one. So x is 4 times square root 3. Now they didn't tell us which one to solve for, so we're going to find out everything. The next one, and this is where it gets a little interesting. The next one says take x and multiply it by another square root 3. So x is this value. So 4 square root 3, so that's x. Remember, that's x. But now they want us to multiply by another square root 3. So let's see what happens here. The 4 and this square root 3 are not like terms. The square root 3 and the square root 3 are like terms. So let's see what happens. The 4 has nothing to go with it, so that's just a 4. Square root 3 times square root 3, that's a square root 9. 3 times 3, 9. But isn't the square root of 9 going to be a regular 3? Yes, it is. So that's a regular 3. But we still have this 4, and they're connected by multiplication. So scrolling this way a little bit, 4 times 3 gives me a 12. So this one actually worked out to a nice value. So I'll go ahead and mark these. That's your medium side. That's your hypotenuse side. All right.